and welcome back. We are getting started on the Death Becomes Her three-piece suit. I did procrastinate a little bit. I could have started yesterday, but I didn't because I didn't really want to film. But what I did do was I actually did put together the pattern pieces for the Britney pants, cut those out, and already pinned them to the fabric. So I'm going to start with that. I'm first going to cut out the pants because I really want to get started on those. And as I've told you, these actually started the whole story of the suit as it is now coming about. In the first place, I wanted pants. So I want to start with those. And then I need to trace. I actually need to trace the waistcoat and jacket from the McCalls 5193, which I'm going to utilize to make this a three-piece suit. I was going back and forth on blazers to use for this. I really like the waistcoat. I am not convinced about the blazer in terms that I think it's a little too fitted for the look that I was going for with the grommets put in place. Then again, I also think having a blazer that is too loose is not going to work, and I really didn't want the double-breasted blazer, and the other patterns that I found were all double-breasted, so I decided not to go for that. And now I've decided, okay, these three pieces are going to be the suit, and then the two blouses as you have seen in my previous video. Now, without further ado, let's put you on time lapse. It's the whole thing over again. And I'm going to start cutting the pants, and then I'm going to start tracing the pieces. I already wrote down how many pieces I need. We got 16 pieces to trace in total, which is going to be fun. And then I'm going to cut those pieces out and also cut them out of the fabric. Fingers crossed I have enough fabric. I have 4 meters to work with. It should be fine. We'll see how it goes, but you're going to see that right now. Enjoy. Right, getting started on the tracing of the blazer and waistcoat pattern. I wish that this process would go as quickly as you can see it here on the time lapse. It doesn't, and tracing 16 items is not for the faint-hearted, I'm telling you. Also, what I did do in the end after this was all done was I had to extend all of the bodice pieces by 1 inch because I'm fairly tall, and I was like kind of thinking that that would be probably appropriate to increase everything by 1 inch, which you see me do here with the strip, cutting everything in the lengthening and shortening line through and then adding 1 inch of length. And then all of a sudden, what do you know, it's time to cut out the fabric. I was a little bit curious to see and a little bit anxious that I would not get everything cut out of the fabric. In the end, everything worked fine, but I was a little bit skeptic at first. But in the end, as you can see here, I got everything cut out. Right. And this is where we break for the night. We have some leftover fabric, which is not enough to make another piece, but potentially I might be good and make some bias binding, especially for the trousers, which we have here. We got the blazer, we got the waistcoat. And we still need to cut a fair bit of interfacing and lining, but not tonight. This is all I have in me for today, and we'll continue tomorrow. Let's go. And we're back. Finally, I say, I'm getting started on the Death Becomes Her suit. I am procrastinating like nobody's business on this one for whatever reason. I think the whatever reason is I haven't even filmed the intro yet, so you are simply going to see this in reverse order. not everything has to be shot in order, as we know from filmmaking. What I did do was I did prepare some bias binding yesterday. That is around 13 meters I made yesterday, and I have my pattern here, all of the pieces, and I'm just gonna get started. I really want to make the pens first because that's where the whole project started, and I'm really curious to have the Britney pens in my life. We'll see how that goes. I will start by actually bias binding all of the pattern pieces so that we have clean seam allowances finished off, and I'm gonna put you on time lapse so you can watch that. And yes, let's just do this without further ado. Let's go. And getting started on the Britney pen. So here you can see me preparing the pant legs with bias binding for that clean finish that I was talking about, which of course goes a lot quicker than it actually did. But after preparing all of that, it was time to start sewing the pants. And from the way I did it, partially I did sew some of the seams before I finished the full leg with the bias binding because it made more sense to do so, especially with the crotch line, and in the back you have that yoke piece that I first attached, and then I finished everything off with bias binding. These are the back pockets, which I attached then as well, adding them to the back of the pants. And later at night I actually continued with the front pockets, which you can see me do here, and reading instructions in between just to make sure I'm doing everything right. It was a little bit confusing for whatever reason, but we got actually the pockets done that same night, which was pretty good, and even getting the side seam finished on the pants. And day 2 has begun on adventures in pants making. I last night got so far as to sew in the pockets. The back pockets I did in the morning, and I did stitch together the side seams front and back, as you can see. Now I need to add one line of top stitching, and I think then we can move on to the inner leg seam, and we're heading towards the zipper. Lucky for me, because then I remembered I probably need a jeans zipper. I do have one in red. There it is. Well, that fits quite well. It's not perfect, but it's good enough. I was contemplating using a white one or whatever, but those you always see. So we can continue on the pants. I was first like, do I have to start on the waistcoat? I don't. So hopefully we can get through this at least almost to the finish line today, I want to say. Although these pens are not that complicated from the instructions from what I saw. It's just, yeah, a lot of little things coming together. So yeah, without further chatting, let's just go ahead. I'll put you on time lapse and you can see how I progress on this. Enjoy. And moving on the Britney pants by inserting the zipper, which was a fairly straightforward process, but I, for whatever reason, keep procrastinating on it. I usually do this in the morning when I have a fresh, clear mind. So first I did put together the crotch seam, and then I started inserting the actual zipper. Again, very good instructions, so no issues there. And then moving on with some top stitching for the zipper, also for the crotch line, and then I broke, and in the evening I started on the belt loops, as you can see here, and then preparing the waistband. And yeah, this was more or less straightforward as well. It's a lot of pinning involved in the end, attaching it to the pants. Oh yeah, and I also did do the hem facing on the bottom for the tapered in legs. And here you can see me actually attaching the belt loops and the waistband in the end to produce a finished trousers. So yeah, very straightforward process, but yes. Okay, so I did a bit of sewing off camera and I did finish the pants almost. The only thing that is missing is the buttonhole and the button. And there is a bit of a fitting issue, I think, with the pants. But other than that, I'm actually happy with them. So I thought I'm just going to show you. Here they are. These are the Britney pants. I'm keeping the camera low for now so you can see the hem. So this is what I did off camera now. I did the facing on the bottom and I did the waistband. I finalized the waistband, like I said, with the exception of buttonhole and button. That's why I'm holding this right now. And the only issue is actually the fitting around the pockets. And I think it's because of the pleat. I think realistically, I should have chosen one size up for these. But then the problem is I was a little bit scared that these would be like clown pants if I made them too big. Let me tilt you up a little bit and straighten. So I was a little bit afraid that they would look too much like clown pants. So this is what they are now. But other than that, I like the fit. I like how they look. I am kind of also getting used to them because at first I put them on and I really hated how this dragged. I'm still not liking it. This is not like, ooh, this is a favorite part of my pants. The favorite part for me is actually the bottom. I'm really happy with this, especially also with the length, because I thought I sometimes have a little bit of a problem with the height for, because Wiki Sews, they sell the patterns not only by size, but also by length. And I fall in category 4, which is 178 centimeters to 182. But sometimes the pant legs are too long for me. And I don't know if that's on purpose because they make them extra long, or if technically I need a lower size, even though I'm 179. I think in this case, they work perfectly. And it might be that with other pants, they were really made to be like super long pants that you have to wear heels in, which I don't always do because obviously I'm already very tall. But yeah, that's what I really like about these. Also, you can see from the back, I am actually happy with them. And I have red pants now. What do you know? So there's going to be a jeans button put on here, and I'm also going to hand sew a buttonhole because typically I hand sew those. There's no way I'm going to put this into my machine because my machine is not capable of doing good buttonholes in, yeah, in pretty much anything except for when you have thinner fabrics and you need to make like small little blouse buttonholes. That my machine can do, and even then I'm getting skimpy and I want to be like, no, let me do them by hand, even though it takes hours and hours. For me it does anyway. So I have some simple jeans buttons. I'm going to utilize one of them tomorrow. It's already in the evening. I'm not going to take my hammer out and hammer in a button, but I might actually sew in the buttonhole. That might be a good thing for tonight. And afterwards, we are going to move on to the waistcoat, which I have already. Is this the waistcoat? Maybe. I'm not quite sure. Might also be the jacket. You never know. No, this is the waistcoat, actually. Yeah, from the numbers of the pattern pieces. So, waistcoat is cut. I need to cut lining still. And then parts need to be interfaced. And then tomorrow I can start on the waistcoat, which is super exciting. So, we're getting closer in Operation Death Becomes Her. The one thing I forgot to mention, I was contemplating with this because it has the facing and the top stitching here. I was actually contemplating to tie this in with the jacket and put grommets on the bottom because I have 3/8 of an inch grommets. And I'm like, might that be cool? Might that be something to do? Should I do this? Should I make it funky? I don't know. I'm swaying back and forth. So you will see as this progresses if I do or if I don't. But it's just an idea that came to my head. Anyway, I thought I'd show you this. I am semi-happy with them. I think the pattern has a lot of potential, especially when you choose the right size or if you're, yeah, maybe not as vain as I am. Just choose a bigger size and don't care if it would look like clown pants. But yeah, it's okay. I mean, it could be a whole lot worse. I think the rest fits so good that I don't mind this upper area really. And it's gonna get more cohesive as soon as I have like the waistcoat going with it. Because I tried it on with a waistcoat, it actually looks pretty good. So let's continue. All right, back again, back in the sewing room. It took me a week to get back in here, but we are back. The trousers are finished. I can show you also quickly. I did hammer in the button yesterday, and we have a more or less, didn't even iron the buttonhole so far, and it is very tight. But yeah, we have a hand sewn buttonhole. So there is that. The Britney pants are finished, and now we can move on into the waistcoat. I did prepare everything, so I did interface what needed interfacing. I did cut the lining out. So here are my fronts, and the remaining pieces are here, all scattered. I got some pockets for the welt pockets because, as always, with waistcoats, I will make functional welt pockets. I hate decorative welts on waistcoats. I find that so pointless. So if I do the work on adding welts, I might as well add pockets as well. And yeah, I would like to get this done throughout this weekend, and it's already Saturday night. So you know how much time I have. And yeah, let's just get into it. I'm going to put you on time lapse as always, and you can enjoy the process of me sewing this waistcoat. See you on the other side. The waistcoat from the McCalls pattern comes together like pretty much any other waistcoat pattern, as far as I can tell from the waistcoats that I have done so far. You just put all the pieces together. In this case, I did do the front with the side front on both sides, prepared that, and then the back with the side backs just to get those prepared, and then started working on the welt pockets, as you can see here, which is a bit of a lengthier process, but again, putting in proper welt pockets is just more fun for me, I guess. Right, it is the next day. We have progress on the waistcoat. So last night I did assemble the waistcoat for the most part. I did even sew the welt pockets, as you can see. Like I said, even if it's that little of a pocket bag, I still want a pocket bag. I don't like having just welts on there that are non-functional. So there's that. You can see I pinned on two of the buttons that I'm going to use. So I find these very pretty. It's showing you the back with the little belt ends. I'm still thinking what type of buckle or fastening I'm going to apply here. But yeah, that's the current state of it. I also have the lining over here at a machine, so I did already assemble that as well. What I did do was I assembled everything in pairs, so the outer fabric and then the lining at the same time, so it would be all done. You can see my labels in there here. Let's jump right into it, shall we? Heading towards the finish line on the waistcoat, which essentially means you put the outer shell and the prepared lining together, which is a very uncomplicated process, I find at least, and that's why I like making waistcoats so much, because you don't have to set in sleeves and all of that stuff. This is just putting everything together and keeping one edge open so you can just put everything right side out and then hand finish that opening. Hello and welcome back. So I just wanted to show you quickly the finished waistcoat, actually, because I haven't done that so far. And actually I just finished it with the little ties on the back, the little closure. And yeah, let me just show you quickly what the pants with the waistcoat look like. As I'm all styled up at the moment, I can tip you down a little. There we go. Yes, so this is the outfit so far. We have a two-piece with the waistcoat and the Britney pants. As you can see in the back, I just did this. Added the D-rings for closure. This is more decorative. This has not really any purpose. It does cinch in the waist a little bit, yes, I think so. But other than that, it's more decorative than anything else. But I'm very happy with this waistcoat pattern, actually. Finally, I have a waistcoat, words are hard, pattern that I can wear without a blouse underneath it. I will also wear it with a blouse, but for this look, I think it's also very nice just to have the two pieces. And yes, just quickly wanted to show that. Wrapping up this video and continuing on with the blouse and the jacket, which you are going to see in the next part of this Death Becomes Her outfit. And once you see the jacket, actually the Death Becomes Her theme makes more sense. Although I think this looks quite, the lady in red outfit. I even put on my red shoes just to tie in the full look. But yeah, this is what the first half looks like. So moving on to the next pieces.